All right. So, how many of you here use Wikipedia as a source of information? Not necessarily that you cite it in your papers, because you know if you do that, your teacher can say it. But you use it as a source of information, right? Maybe for like, okay, hands down. Maybe for like what? Like homework, projects, or maybe you just want to find out information about stuff. Now, here's the thing. I want you guys to rate for me. From a scale of 1 to 10, how trustworthy, like how much would you stake your life on what Wikipedia says? 1 being like you don't trust it at all, it always fails you, gives you wrong information. 10 being you'd be willing to go on the cross for the information that it says there. If your hand is a 5, put your hand up. If you think you trust Wikipedia, at least 5. At least 5. It's like in the middle. Keep it up if it's like 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. But for this one man, let me tell you, in September 5th or September 8th, 2008, somebody edited the page of Wikipedia and wrote down that Miley Cyrus had gotten into a car crash on her way to the set of Hannah Montana and died. 2008. But as we know, well, she's still alive now. In 2013, 5 years later, she also released her song Wrecking Ball, which we hate, and yet we can't stop listening to it. And so Wikipedia, just like any source of information, gives us wrong information sometimes. So for you, I'm sorry. I have to tell you that Wikipedia is not always correct, because anyone can edit it, right?
Have you ever tried? Like, it's impossible though.
Yeah, now it is. But the reality is, sources of information or things we find on the internet don't always succeed, right? Sometimes it fails us. For that matter, sometimes your friends or your family members can also fail you. Today, as we read the passage that talks about Abraham and what happened with him, we realize that he didn't do that good of a job. You see, the man who probably all throughout your childhood you learned as being a man of faithfulness, of righteousness, in Genesis chapter 12, verse 10 to 20, he fails. His wife, he fails himself, and he fails God. But what I want us to focus on isn't necessarily how much of a failure he is at this moment, but instead God's response. But first, let's understand what he did. So what happened? Abraham had just finished living on the bottom portion of Canaan. And things are going well. He's been building altars for God, he's been worshiping God. But then a famine hits the land. None of us here have ever experienced what a famine feels like. But basically, nothing grows. Nothing's growing. Food is getting sparse. And Abraham decides that he needs to survive. And what does he do? He takes his family, brings them all the way over to Egypt, where there's a Nile River running through it and like all the good stuff. And so it's still survivable. But before he enters into Egypt, he makes this decision. He looks over at his wife Sarai, and he says, "You are so beautiful, you're so pretty, you're amazing, you're perfect. But because of this," and this is where he switches over, "because of how beautiful I know that you are, everyone else also thinks the same. And so when we go into Egypt, if they ever find out that you're my wife, they're going to try to kill me so that they can be together with you." Because, they're not just going to have her cheat on him. And so Abraham says this to his wife. His wife, right? He says this to his wife, Sarah. His wife, right? This is how many times the Bible tells us. It keeps mentioning Sarai, his wife. Just so you know who Sarai is. Who is Sarai? Abraham's daughter. Well, congratulations, because that's what he tells her to do. Abraham goes to Sarah and says, hey, you're so pretty, and because of that, I actually want you to tell people that you're just my sister. Don't tell people you're my wife. Tell them you're my sister. So what's the difference, right? Well, if she was his wife, then in order to be with Sarai, they'd have to kill him, get rid of him, get him out of the picture. But if she was his sister, back in the days, either the father or the brother, if the father's not around, the brother, the male figure of the family, is the one who basically is kind of like in charge of the sister. Not necessarily that he gets to command her to do things, but that if ever anyone wants to come and marry his sister, they have to give him a dowry. They have to give him some kind of payment, maybe a cow, 2 cows, or a sheep, I don't know. Whatever it will be for the sister. And so Abraham says this, say this, lie about this, tell the Egyptians that you're my sister, so that I don't have to die. That's what it says in verse 4. Do this for my sake. I don't want to die. But then he also says at the end of verse 4, do this for your sake. Abraham's not just saying, oh, this is for my good. He's also saying, hey, me being alive, that's beneficial for you. And so, for some of us, we're probably like, wait, what is going on here? He's not only trying to convince Sarai to help him stay alive, he's trying to convince her that she needs him in his life, in her life. Sarai, I don't know what she's thinking right now, but she decides to go along with this plan. And so when they get into Egypt, exactly what Abraham thought would happen happens. The princes of Egypt come along, they see Sarai, they know and they see, and she is beautiful. And so they go to their buddy Pharaoh, and they're like, yo, this new girl just came into town, and she is like 10 out of 10. You gotta go see for yourself. And so Pharaoh does. And he's the ruler of the whole nation. So he goes, he sees Sarah, and he's like, right here. He goes and swoops in, takes her, brings her into his own house. But he doesn't just do this like rough. He doesn't just do this like however he wants. He goes to Jacob and he gives him servants, camels, sheep. Gives him a bunch of things as a dowry. Pharaoh actually goes about the proper rites in which you need to do in order to have a wife. And what does Abraham do when Pharaoh comes along? Go ahead, take her. Take her, give me this, I'll take this up, you can take my wife. And that's exactly what happens. Sarai, Abraham's wife, is now the wife of Pharaoh. Can you imagine what Sarai is feeling at this moment? When they probably did their vows, till death do us part, through sickness or in health. When the threat of death came about, he turned away. When the threat of death came about, he fed her into the wolves, basically. The one man that Sarai thought she was supposed to be able to trust, the one man that she thought she could rely on, who would walk with her through life, at this moment, fails her completely. At this moment, lets her go off to be some other man's wife. Abraham fails Sarah here. And for some of us, we're no strangers to people failing us. We've experienced our friends or our family members failing us in different ways. For your friends, maybe it could be something small. I want you to remember back to a time where you try to meet up with your friends and they show up late. That's the most common one, right? People just show up late because, I don't know, a bunch of reasons. But maybe you can think a little deeper. Maybe your friends have failed you in being a good friend, right? Maybe when you wanted them you trusted them to keep a secret for you. And instead, you find out that they've been going around telling the whole world about it. Or maybe your friends who you thought you were close with, who were smiley and nice when you were around, the moment you walk away, they're bashing you behind your back. Our friends have betrayed us, have failed us at times. Not just you. But it's not just our friends, but your family has failed you at times too. Something small like when your parents fail to pick you up on time, or fail to send you to where you need to go on time. Or maybe when your siblings throw you under the bus when they're told to do something, but then they make you do it instead. But our family has also failed us, possibly, in the ways they perceive us. Right? Instead of seeing us as who we are, they perceive us by how well we perform. Your family might have been busy comparing you with your siblings, comparing you with your friends, with your cousins, with those people who are doing better. Right? 99 is not enough because that kid just got 100. Our families could have failed us in perceiving us by how well we perform, how well we do, instead of who we are. See, we're no strangers to people failing us, and it sucks, doesn't it? And when we recognize their failure or their betrayal, how do we feel in our hearts? Feel lost, confused. But you see, that's not the end of the story, because what happens here for Sarah, when her husband fails her, God didn't leave. God instead curses Pharaoh with plagues, and then so kept Sarah safe. You see, when everyone else had left her, he was still there. God showed that he was still there to support her, to protect her, to provide for her, even when she didn't expect it. And that's the reality I want us to sit with today. The fact is that when others fail, God still prevails. That no matter when they mess up, how they mess up, how they leave us, God doesn't. And instead, he gives us the opportunity to process our emotion. He gives us the opportunity to figure out what's going on. We can empathize with Sarai because we understand when people fail us. But I want us to also recognize, just as she did, that God's still there. And that's the easy thing, right? That's when other people fail us. But you see, Abraham also failed himself and failed God. When he decided to lie to Pharaoh, what ended up happening? Pharaoh finally put one and one together. He's like, counting the days of when that plague happened, what else happened during that time? And he realized, I got a new wife. And so he invites Abraham back in and he starts questioning, why did you lie to me? Like, I gave you all these things. Why did you tell me that she was your wife? And so Abraham, before Abraham gets to respond, Pharaoh immediately kicks him out. That's what he does. He tells his guards, tell Abraham to take everything that he has and leave. Even all the stuff that we gave him. Take all that and leave. Abraham, at this moment, has failed himself. You see, when he chose to lie, he gave up his moral character right there. But not just that. The reason why he moved into Egypt was so that he thought he could protect himself. He could provide for himself. But as we see, because of his decisions, he gets kicked out. But Abraham also fails God because just in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 2, I want you all to flip back there. We're going to read Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 to 3. Just in the previous passage, probably a few years ago, it says, now the Lord said to Abraham, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And here it comes. 7 blessings. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. Hence Pharaoh. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Right here, literally 5 to 7 verses right before this happens, God gave Abraham all these blessings, telling him that he'd provide. And when he had to decide, Abraham decides to leave. When the famine came, Abraham was like, nope, I gotta do this. I gotta make sure I can provide for myself. And he leaves. He fails to trust in God at this moment. Abraham, the man of faith, the man of righteousness, the one that is talked about even in the New Testament, at this moment, fails his wife, fails himself, and fails God. And the reality is, many of us here today might be able to relate with them, right? We come into church, we go into school, we go home with this facade or this mask of smiles or thinking that we're okay, when deep down we're really just pushing everything back down. Maybe we wrestle with the idea that we might be failures, or we're doing everything that we can to avoid failing. Right? We try as hard as we can, or we pretend like we don't care. That way, if we do fail, it doesn't matter. We're so busy trying to run from failure, or thinking that we're failures, whether it be in meeting other people or our own expectations, thinking that we're failures or avoiding not being the person that they want us or we want to be, finding some purpose or meaning in life, finding something to commit to. We struggle with this. We struggle and want to run from failure. And if we do fail, who's the best? Who's the first person that points fingers? Who's the first person that criticizes you? It's the person that looks you back in the mirror. Some of you may know that, most of you probably know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went to CMC, a huge conference that's Chinese Missions Convention. I encourage you all to go in 3 years, but it was a great time. I was asked to be one of the core leaders, and because I missed one of the meetings, I was voluntold to be the MC for the event. So don't miss meetings, guys, because that's what happens. You get voluntold to do things. And I was completely unprepared. I've only gone to CMC once before, and in order to be the MC for 5 days and 4 nights, I needed to know what everything was. I needed to know where everything was, what needed to happen, the schedule and everything, and I knew about this much. I've only been there once, and I was a small group leader, so I didn't even know what was happening in the background. And yet, that's my job. And so I did what every good Asian does when they're voluntold to do something. We complain, and then we try to memorize, study, prepare as best we can. This is the cramming session, right? See, I could have prepared all the time before, but it was best to prepare on the day of, when everyone was there, so I can ask them what's going on. And so I cram, and I prepare. You could see me on that day. I was walking in circles while practicing what I was going to say, because that's just how I memorize things. And I thought I knew it, and I thought everything was going to go well. And come Thursday night, the conference is about to start, and everything goes wrong. You would think that after all my practicing, it would go exactly the way I prepared it to go. But no, when the conference started, when it hit 7 p.m., all of a sudden this huge influx of youths came in to sign up. And so all the core leaders were busy managing that, while I was kind of just standing on the stage like, well, I was supposed to introduce them. I was supposed to do this and that, but now I gotta change my whole schedule. So everything that I had prepped, everything I had planned, out the window. And that's not all. It gets worse, because as the night gets more chaotic, at the end of the night, what we're supposed to do is help 430 youths find their small group leaders. There are 70 of them. 70 different small group leaders. And the only way to identify them is through a tiny little picture of a Smash character on their name tags. To make matters worse, we had to leave the room by 10 p.m. We could not stay longer. If we stayed any longer, we'd have to pay more. And so we had to leave by 10 p.m. and it was 9:57. And none of the youths had found their small group leaders. And so, I don't know what came over me, this spark of inspiration. Grace, were you there that night? I asked all the small group leaders to go outside into the hallway and make like a line of some sort. And then I would send all the youth out, and hopefully they'd be able to like connect their name tags with each other as they're walking out. If you've ever been to an airport when it lands and people are coming out of the gate and you see those people holding signs, it's 10 times worse. It was 500 people yelling and screaming out Smash character names and trying to like figure out their small group members. And half of them didn't even know what their Smash character was. So like, it was utter, complete chaos. They were youth kids crying. And it was just Completely chaos. Do you remember that night, Grace? It was just chaos. You were all bundled tight together. No one could move, but everyone was trying to like push everyone away so they can find their small group. It was chaos. And that night, as we went into debrief about it, you can bet people were talking. People were bringing up this other topic. This went wrong, that went wrong. And although no one pointed fingers, and although no one blamed anyone for it, someone was ready to do that. You know, at that moment, I thought I should have been able to do better. See, at that moment, I thought that I had failed the expectations that my other leaders had placed on me to be the MC. I thought that I had failed myself. I should have been able to plan backup plans. I should have been able to prepare for this. I should have thought about what would happen. And I thought at that moment that I also failed God. I failed to start the conference the way that I should have. I failed to even pray for that night. You know what you should do for every retreat or before you go anywhere? You have to pray for the event. I didn't even pray up there for everyone. But at that moment, even though no one was blaming me, I blamed myself. And that's the reality of it. When it comes to ourselves failing, we do the best job at criticizing ourselves for failing. We do. And our culture has so twisted it that failure, or the fear of failure, now becomes one of the best motivations for you to do better. You know, that's what happens if you guys ever end up going to the gym and getting a personal trainer. They yell at you and tell you how much of a failure you used to be, or how much of a failure you will be if you can't finish that last rep. That's why you gotta go. You gotta finish it because you don't want to be the person that you used to be. You don't want to be the failure that you used to be. You don't want other people to look at you and recognize you as that failure. And so fear of failure has become one of the best motivations to do better. But that can't be the way that God intended to be. Fear of failing or being perceived as a failure can't be the way that God intended it to be. And you see this from Abraham's story, right? What happens when Abraham fails, when Abraham messes up? He's actually not the one who takes the punishment for it. Instead, who takes the fall for it? The Egyptians and Sarai. Sarai gets sent off to be someone else's wife. The Egyptians have to give up so many of their possessions and also face plagues. Can you imagine walking in the shoes of the Egyptians, being like, yo, this guy lies to us, takes our stuff, we have to face the plagues when he's the one who messes up? How is that fair? Tell me that that's fair, right? Probably we're more comfortable with this idea that if someone does something, they should get what they deserve for it. If someone succeeds, does well, performs well, they should get the rewards or the reputation that comes with it. But if someone fails, if someone messes up, they should get the punishment or the reputation that comes with that. That's fair, right? That makes sense. And so if we were walking in the shoes of the Egyptians, that's what we would think. We would think that it's only fair if people get the punishment that they deserve, or the reputation that they deserve for failing. But the reality is, each and every one of you sitting here today is given an opportunity to receive a blessing that you don't deserve. To receive salvation through a sacrifice that you didn't offer. Each and every one of you sitting in this seat right now, you're not walking in the shoes of the Egyptians. You've been given a chance to walk in the shoes of Abraham. Is it fair? Probably not. Most likely not. And yet, God extends his hands down for that. Because you see, what I want us to take away from today isn't something you can do. Right? I'm not telling you you have to go and try even harder so that you avoid being failure, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Instead, what I want to challenge us today is a change in your mindset on how you perceive failure, on how you perceive failing. Inevitably, each and every one of you here I either feel that your failure is a certain way, or you're running from being a failure at your relationships, at schools, at friendships, at your instruments, at your sports, in your family. You're trying to avoid it because you don't want to be marked as a failure. But that can't be the way God intended it. Failure cannot be just a source of fear for us. Instead, what I want us to recognize today is that it is okay to fail. It is okay to fail. It is okay to mess up. It is okay to not be okay. It's okay. You don't have to run from it because failing doesn't define who you are. When you mess up, you aren't then thus becoming a failure. That's not how it works. When you fail, it is an opportunity for you to recognize, hey, you're not all that. It's for you to recognize, hey, this is another area in my life, or your life, that you need to learn how to rely on God for. Failing is the way that you figure out and recognize that what God is offering you is grace. Unless we fail, we wouldn't be able to see that. You see, because when God looks down at you and sees how much you mess up or how much you're trying to run away from it, he doesn't turn away in disgust or pity. That's not how he looks at you. Instead, he sees you as someone who needs his help, and thus he reaches down his hand to help you up. When God sees you in your sin and in all that you failed to do or be, what he says is this: you don't deserve my love. This is what God says. You don't deserve the love that I want to show you. You don't. But you are worth the sacrifice of my son. You don't deserve this love that I want to give you, but you are worth me putting my son onto that cross. You are worth it. Not because of what you're doing. That's why you don't deserve it. But because you are worth it. You are worth it. That's what God wants to say. See, from the time of Abraham, when he protected Abraham, when he provided for him and all those things, to this day, he hasn't changed. No matter who fails, God showed that he still prevails. He still stands strong. He's still here, ready, and waiting. Even though others or we may fail, God still prevails. Even though we may mess up, God's there to pick you up. Even though we're incapable to do many things, God is able to do all things. What I'm telling you now isn't for you to just give up now. You don't have to try anymore. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that just go fail left and right. Go and not study for exams anymore and just go in and leave your papers blank. That's not what I'm saying. Instead, what I'm telling you, or what I want to challenge you with, is to embrace the chance of failing. Failing doesn't define you as a failure, but instead, it opens you up to the opportunity to be called a child of God. It opens you up to the opportunity to see the grace that God wants to extend to you. Whenever we fail, God prevails. And so I want to challenge you. Take this idea of failure that you have, this idea that failing is the worst, and instead see it as an opportunity for grace. See it as an opportunity to receive God's love. See it as something that will push you and teach you where you need to grow with Christ. Failing doesn't define you as a failure. It instead gives you the opportunity to see yourself as a child of God. Even when we fail, God prevails. Let's pray. God, even in our troubles, our trials, our worries, things we stress over, you are there by our side to walk with us, to challenge us, to lead us. And God, may you change the way we think about failure, because that's not who you see, and that's not what you see when you look at us. Instead, you see us, and you want to help us, you want to love us. So let us come back to you. We surrender youth, we surrender each and every person here into your hands, and know that you got this, God. At the end of the day, you got this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.